Hello and welcome back. Okay, are you ready? Just you and me? Just you and me? So, manos a la obra. Let's get to work. Let's get to work. Y si quiero decirlo aún más, let's get down to work. Okay, question number 1. Was Snow White saved by a prince? Was Snow White saved by a prince? Oh yes, she was. Prince Charming. Use Prince Charming in English. In Spanish, I think it's called Mi Príncipe Azul. My blue prince, but not in English. My Prince Charming, Príncipe Encantador. Yes, Snow White, Blancanieves. Snow White. You know, it's interesting. Both in Spanish and in English, it's opposite. Because in Spanish, you say la nieve blanca. You don't say la blanca nieve. And in English, we say white snow. We don't say snow white. But in both languages, in the fairy tale escrito tale. Tale escrito tale significa cuento, pero cuento tipo cuento de hadas. Fairy, fairi, like the hand lotion, is hada. So the fairy tale, cuento de hadas, white snow y nieve blanca, in both languages, is inverted, invertidos. And you have Blanca Nieves, and we have Snow White. All right, her first name is Snow, her last name or surname is White. And there are many people. Mr. White is Señor Blanco. You have it in Spanish too, all right? And you have the name Nieves. Hola Nieves. So there's a lot of similarities here. Okay, Snow White lived in the palace with her father and her mother. Her mother died, and the father remarried. Se dice en inglés recasarse, okay? Casarse de nuevo, en segundas nupcias. He remarried, and so Snow White, instead of having, en vez de tener, siempre gerundio después de instead of having a mother, our good friend Snow White had a stepmother. Step, como dar un peldaño o dar un paso. Step by step, learning English peldaño por peldaño, paso por paso, escalón por escalón, step by step. Porque en tu caso, no estás aprendiendo paso a paso. Estás mejorando peldaño a peldaño. Step by step, you're going up, because progression is up, not digression, which is down. But in our case of Snow White, we're not talking about physical steps. We're talking about stepmother, stepfather, stepsister, stepbrother, stepson, stepdaughter, stepchildren, etc. Now, stepmother, simply con step delante, guión, mother, no, sin guión, perdón. Stepmother is madrastra, padrastro. Yes, stepmother, stepfather. Yes, godmother, godfather, madrina, padrino. Okay, sometimes I don't remember in Spanish the relations in families. So her stepmother was a difficult woman. Yes, she was very vain. A very vain person. A vain person is a person who possesses a large doses of vanity, okay? And she needed people around her to nourish her vanity. Nutrir, dar de comer, nutrir, to nourish her vanity. And the most important element in the palace for nourishing her vanity was a mirror on the wall. And every day she approached the mirror. She walked up to the mirror. Se acercó al espejo. Andando, por supuesto, no se acercaba nunca corriendo. She walked up. Si se hubiera acercado corriendo, she ran up. El up siempre está ahí. Si se hubiera acercado a nado, swim up to the mirror. Okay? Si se hubiera acercado bailando el vals, she waltzed up. Siempre, forma de locomoción, más up. And so, every day, she walked up to the mirror or went up to the mirror and she looked at it. And she said, mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest one of all? Fair, in older English, means bella. ¿Quién es la más hermosa, la más bella? Who is the fairest? De ahí viene la palabra, o el título, My Fair Lady. Mi hermosa dama, mi bella dama. My Fair Lady, she said, who's the fairest one of all? And every day, the mirror, the face in the mirror said, you are my queen. And so her vanity was nourished, and she went away happy. Ha ha ha. I am the fairest one of all, de todas. One day, however, when Snow White was growing up and reached puberty and a little older, maybe 14, 15, it was clear she was very beautiful, very, very beautiful. And so the stepmother one day approached the mirror and said, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest one of all?" And the mirror said, "Well, not anymore, not anymore." Well, he said, "My lady, you are very fair, but there's one person in this kingdom fairer than you." And the queen turned white. She said, "What? Who?" And the mirror couldn't lie. The mirror always told the truth. "Your stepdaughter, Snow White." Okay. And so suddenly the queen knew, aha, I'm not number one anymore. I'm not the queen of the mountain. There's somebody. And so the queen decided to kill her stepdaughter. But the stepdaughter managed to escape because the person the queen used to kill her sentía pena por la pobre chica. ¿Cómo decimos sentir pena por alguien o por algo? The soldier who took Snow White to the forest to kill her felt sorry for. To feel sorry for is compadecer, sentir compasión, sentir pena. And so the soldier, he felt sorry for the poor girl, and he said, "Listen, your stepmother, the queen, has sent me to kill you. In this box, I have a knife, a dagger, daga or dagal, I can't remember in Spanish, una daga. And my job is to kill you. But I'm going to kill an animal. I'm going to kill this lamb, and I'm going to put the lamb's heart in the box and take it back to the queen, and you escape." So she escaped into the forest, and she found a house, and there was nobody in the house. Okay. And to make a long story short, because I'm not going to tell you today, or maybe never, the story of Snow White, she lived in that house. The stepmother found out, se enteró. Bueno, no es que se enterase, lo averiguó. Because you see, in English, to find out suele ser averiguar, donde la persona actúa para descubrir la información, to find out. Enterarse es cuando la información te viene a ti y dicen, anda, así. Pues Pepita se ha casado. Anda, ¿ya? Yeah. Pues me acabo de enterar que Pepita se ha casado. That's not to find out, that's to learn. Learn, como aprender. I learned that, en español usáis tres, dos más o menos. Se enteró, yo me enteré ayer de que Pepita se había casado, o supe ayer que se había casado. Ese supe, del verbo to know in English, we never use it, never. Si tú dices, yesterday I knew that Pepita had gotten married, that means ayer ya sabía, okay? Porque supe el día anterior. Yesterday I knew, yes, yesterday I knew that Pepita had been married or had gotten married because the day before I learned about it. Me enteré. I learned about it. So to learn is enterarse. Cuando la información te llega a ti. To find out es enterarse o averiguar porque tú has ido buscando. Es más proactivo. So the queen found out that Snow White was still alive because when she went back to the mirror, she asked the same question, expecting the old answer, expecting the man in the mirror to say, "My queen, you are, without a doubt." ¿Cómo se dice sin duda en inglés? Without a doubt. Fijaos que la B, como he dicho muchas veces aquí, la B de duda, doubt, es muda. And the mirror said, "My queen, without a doubt, you are the most beautiful woman, the fairest woman in the kingdom." However, that's what she was expecting him to say. Eso es lo que esperaba que dijera. She was expecting him to say that because she thought her stepdaughter was dead, but she wasn't. y puesto que el espejo no puede mentir. And since, fijaos cómo digo since para puesto que, ya que. Since también significa desde que, pero tenía esto. But since the mirror couldn't lie, the mirror said to her, "My queen, you are very fair, but there's one person fairer than you." And the queen said, "Who?" "Snow White." And the queen said, "But Snow White is dead." And the mirror said, "No, madam, Snow White is living in a house in the forest, the house of the 7 enanos." ¿Cómo se dice? Enano. The 7 dwarfs. Dwarfs. D-W-A-R-F. Dwarf. A dwarf. And in this case, there were 7 dwarfs. And she lived there, and to make a long story short, the queen transformed herself. She changed into. Transform herself, se puede decir, pero solemos decir, se cambió a. She changed into a witch, una bruja, and she went and she poisoned her stepdaughter, giving her a poison apple. And the girl, very nice girl, she took a bite and she fell asleep into a deep, deep sleep. Eternal sleep. And the only way to break the spell, because it wasn't really a poison. The apple didn't contain poison. The apple contained elements that cast a spell. All right, se dice echar un hechizo. Okay, to cast. Al exam, to cast a spell. Spell, como la ortografía, deletrear, to spell. How do you spell? Spell. S-P-E-L-L. Okay, to cast a spell. And the apple cast a spell, and indirectly the witch, the stepmother, cast a spell on Snow White, and she fell into a deep, eternal sleep, hibernating, okay? And the only way to break the spell was the kiss of a man who was truly in love with her. And then so, several weeks later, the Prince Charming was riding, montado a caballo, paseando por el bosque, riding through, going through on his horse. Solemos ir a la forma de locomoción en inglés. No usamos el verbo ir. En español decís, fui a casa andando, fui al trabajo en coche, fui a nado hasta la isla, el islote. Fui corriendo a la farmacia. Siempre usáis voy o fui o iré corriendo, iré volando a verte. Okay, voy volando. Okay. Siempre ir o venir, vino volando, más el modo de transporte, volando, nadando, etc. O a nado. En inglés no. No. Usamos el modo de locomoción como verbo puro al principio. Nadé a casa. Yesterday I didn't walk home. Usually I walk home. But yesterday I swam home. Why? Por la riada. There was a flood, an inundation, a flood, and the water was up to here. And when I walked out of my office, and my God, but I need to go home. I don't have a boat, so I will swim. So ayer fui a casa nado. I swam home. Fui a casa corriendo. I ran home. Fui a casa a gatas, arrastrándome. I crawled home. Gateé a casa. Así lo decimos en inglés. I skipped to work. I skipped home. I walked home. Anduve a casa, decimos. Caminé a casa. So we use that. Now, fui a casa a caballo. I rode home. To ride, rode, ridden. So in the case of our good friend, Prince Charming, he was riding through the forest, and he saw these 7 dwarfs. Said, well, what's the problem here? That Our Lady is dead, or is dying, or she's sleeping in a deep sleep. And he said, well, wake her up. Push her. Say, hey, wake up. He says, it doesn't work. Why not? There's only one way to, she's under a spell, bajo un hechizo. She's under a spell. And the Prince Charming said, well, what kind of spell? Well, unless a person who is truly in love with her kisses her, she will not wake up. And Prince Charming said, well, let me look. And he looked at her and says, hey, she's really good looking. Que guapa. She's really good looking. What's her name? Snow White. No, I like her name. She has very nice skin. I like her nose, her lips, her arms, her body. She looks very pretty. I think I'm falling in love. Okay? Yes, I think I'm going out of my head. And he fell in love with her. And he said, okay, open the glass. There was under glass. And he kissed her and she woke up. And the prince said, are you okay? Where am I? But nevertheless, she finally woke up and they went off together. Now, the question here is, was Snow White saved by a prince? The answer is yes, she was. She was saved by a prince. To be precise, Prince Charming. Okay, next question. Has there been an important news event this week? An important news event. Every week there's an important news event. Here in this country there are elections coming up, so there are important news events all the time. Every day. It depends on what you define as important. Ahora, un acontecimiento digno noticiable is a news event, something that happens. Current events are things that happen, okay? All the time. Current events, the elections in France. Mr. Sarkozy is now the president, and he divorced, or he is divorcing his previous wife, and he's probably going to marry another person. These are current events. These are news events, okay? Now, has there been an important news event? Ha habido una noticia importante este mes, esta semana, dice aquí. Has there been an important news event this week? Yeah. Every week there is. Last week there was, and every week there is, and this week there has been. Que ya ha habido por lo menos uno. An important news event. The news. Do you watch the news every day? Do you watch the news? Is the news usually interesting or boring? Is the news usually in the evening or at midday or both? Fijaos, news tiene un S al final. News. Sin embargo, singular. The news is a daily event on television. The news. And it's important to watch the news because the news keeps you, tercera persona en singular, keeps you up to date on what's happening. Nunca se dice en inglés, nunca. The news are. Ahora, para decir una noticia, no se puede decir a news. Oí una noticia hace 5 minutos importante. I heard a news. Sorry. I heard some news. It's a very strange. It's like the news in English, in the English language, is like saying the water, the flour, la harina, the milk. I'm drinking milk and watching the news. The milk is good and the news is good. Every moment I drink some milk and I hear some news. Okay. Vengo a darte una noticia. I'm here to give you some news. Y voy a tomar algo de leche. Voy a tomar leche. Se puede decir en español, voy a tomar leche. En inglés, no. I'm going to have milk and I'm going to have some milk. We qualify a bit the milk. I'm going to drink some water. Now I'm going to drink some water. And if you excuse me, I'm going to look for some news about the football games in the United States, the American football games. I'm going to find some news about the football games. Some news. Ahora, una noticia es some news. Or, si te empeñas, si quieres una cosa contable, a news item. Yesterday, there was a traffic accident in Valencia and 2 people were killed. Eso es una noticia. It's a news item. It's a piece of news. También se puede decir un pedazo o una pieza o un trozo de noticias. It's a piece of news. All right. Pero normalmente, oye, ¿hay alguna noticia? ¿Hay alguna noticia? ¿Se sabe algo? No. Is there any news? No, no news. Any news yet? No news. We're waiting. I'm waiting to find out from the floor technician how much time I have left for this show. And I speak to my friend here, says, any news? How much time do we have left? No, no news. I don't know. Hay noticias. Is there any news? Yes, I have some news. Finally. Finally you have some news. Tell me, what? Well, a decision has been made to cancel the project. To cancel the project. That is bad news. Esa es una mala noticia. Escuchad como lo digo. That's bad news. I want good news. Quiero una buena noticia. Para variar. I want some good news for a change. Ay, qué bueno es tener una buena noticia para variar, después de tantas malas noticias. Finally, it's nice to hear some good news para variar. It's nice to hear some good news for a change. Literalmente para un cambio, pero significa para variar. It's nice to hear some good news for a change. It's nice to have a television station 24 hours a day for English. It's good news for many people. Okay. All right. Next one. Is your house in Madrid? Is your house in Madrid? Yes, it is. Is it in the center of Madrid? No, it's not. Is it on the outskirts of Madrid? Yes, it is. Is it north of Madrid or south of Madrid? It's a little south of Madrid. Okay. And is it a flat or a house? It's a flat. And what floor do you live on? I live on the 10th floor. And how many elevators or lifts do you have in your building? We have only one elevator. My God. And how many units are there? Unidades se dice mucho para viviendas en un bloque de un edificio. How many units are there? There are 4 units per floor. And how many stories is the building? Stories, como cuentos. How many stories? 13 stories. 4, that's 52 units. Well, really there are 53 because the concierge has a unit too. So how often, and you live on the 10th floor, and do you need to use the elevator? Well, of course, I live on the 10th floor. Do you often have to wait a long time? Yes, I do. Every day I have to wait for the elevator, every day. Sometimes more than 2 or 3 minutes waiting for the elevator. Okay, the next one. Do you belong to the Ku Klux Klan? No? Pues yo tampoco. Neither do I. It's a strange organization in the south of the United States that believes in the supremacy of the white race. Nowadays, the influence of this group of people is very little. Okay, they have very little impact on events in the South. The South of the United States is an interesting area. Very interesting, very creative area. An area more similar to the Caribbean countries of the Spanish-speaking world. It's very interesting, the area. If you have a chance, if you ever go to the States, I recommend you go to the South. And it has grown a lot. The South has progressed tremendously in the last 50 years. Tremendously. Why? There are different hypotheses or different theories about why the American South has progressed so well in the last 50 years. Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Tennessee, South Carolina, North Carolina, Arkansas. These areas which were originally the Deep South, the Confederate states during the Civil War, they suffered 80 to 90 years of lethargy, lethargic states, hot, humid climate. But it changed radically. Starting in the 1950s, suddenly the progress began to go up. Interestingly, for some people, one theory is the introduction of air conditioning, el aire acondicionado, en las casas y en los edificios de oficinas, en las oficinas. The introduction of air conditioning, according to some experts, changed the way of working of the people in the South because they were no longer hot all the time. Now in Spain, with the introduction of air conditioning in places in Andalusia, etc., maybe we will see a change in the productivity in some areas. You never know. Okay, that's it. The class is over. The time is up. And another day has finished. So I want to thank you for watching. I want to encourage you to continue watching. And I want to remind you of your responsibility to yourself first and then to me, to to study as much as possible or simply to keep English fresh in your mind. Okay, see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.